This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. Don't quote me on that.
And then you couldn't stop talking about it.
No, I could.
Let me see one of those so I can see how it fits in mine.
What is going on? And welcome to Take on the World Gear Review with
Jonathan
and Mike D. It has been some time since we've done a gear review.
Honestly, don't ever call me Jonathan. I don't know why the fuck I said that.
Well, okay, Jonathan, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. I'm out of here.
I'm going.
So, what did you bring for us today, dude?
This is a Camp EX. Okay.
A Camp X?
Camp X. So if you are a smart person, and you live in the outdoorsy place, maybe Pennsylvania, Maine, I don't know. I wouldn't go anywhere without a goddamn axe. Except to maybe I'm in my car. I should say that. So I wanted something. I was up on a camping trip recently, and I was trying to baton through a piece of wood with my new knife. And all the guys, hey, what are you doing? And I do the same thing. I'm like, why would you baton through a fucking log? Now, if you don't know what batoning is, you take your hand knife and you beat it through a piece of wood to make smaller pieces of wood. What you're trying to do is you're trying to get to the dry part of the inside of the wood. It's very hard on a fixed blade knife. Some people do it with folding knives. That's what an axe is for. But a lot of people don't want to carry an axe. They don't want the weight. Me, it doesn't really matter. I think it's worth its weight in gold. So what we have here is a Hudson Valley, or I'm sorry. What we have here is failure to communicate.
I just watched that movie the other day.
Council Tool Hudson Bay axe.
Camp X.
Now, this is like their cheapest model. It's a little bit like it's an 18-inch handle. I think the hatchet has a 12-inch handle or something, but this is kind of more like you'd stuff in your pack on the outside or on a belt loop. Totally made in the USA. 2-pound head, nice hickory handle. This sheath is aftermarket, which I bought from a guy on Etsy, and it took a little bit of time to get here, but it did, and he got great reviews, and I'll give him a shout out. Smith and Hyde. But you got to be careful because there's two different models of this axe. This is the newer one, and he'll show you right on the website if you want to purchase from him. The angle of this is different. This is the newer model, which I guess is a little more beefed up. This part's thicker, and the handle at the top here sticks out higher. And these all have, I think this is called the eye of the axe.
Eye of the tiger.
So you just make sure you want to get the right. And this thing is razor sharp.
Yeah, I was surprised when I took that sheath off and touched that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, you really put a good edge on this. He goes, that's how it came.
Yeah, I slightly touched it up with a file when I got it because I can't stop playing around with stuff, but it was hair popping sharp.
I'm surprised you didn't lose a finger.
Well, that's why I got this sheath because, I had it like leaning up against the cabinet, all right, and I walk by it and kick it and be like, I'm like, I got to cut my fucking foot off one of these days with this goddamn. I need to get a sheath for this. So I did, and I highly recommend that guy. Again, it is Smith and Hyde on Etsy. I bought this, I think, for about $30. It is a pure buffalo hide.
Buffalo,
and nice and thick, fits perfectly, no issues, looks beautiful, nice brownish color. But yeah, this axe is pretty simple. I guess it was, well, let me give you a review. We straight up stole this right from their website, but It 2 pound Hudson Bay axe head, outfitted with a 24-inch curved hickory handle.
Now you said this is an 18-inch.
No, that's their smaller one. Oh yeah, I did say that. They make a smaller one, which I think was the first one you looked up.
Okay, all right.
But this one just has a little extra length behind it, and I think the head is heavier, which I like the heavier.
Yeah, the other one was 1.5 pounds.
Yes, yeah, and the handle would be smaller, which whatever, that's your preference. I kind of just like shot in the dark. I was like, well, I'll try, because I was visiting my buddy and he had one of these, and he's like, just check them out. They're, a beginner line. They do make their more expensive one of this, which I don't know if probably won't be able to pick it up from here, but you won't see the graininess of the metal. It's more finished here, and it's just a little more dressed up. And I think the Rockwell hardness, I think it's a little bit harder than this axe.
So is this forged in sand or
that? I don't know. I have no idea.
Like
I would no, because you don't forge. You're forging out of a chunk. You're thinking of cast. Cast is when you have a form and you pour it.
Yeah, but cast iron is really not that.
Cast iron's brittle.
So when a long time ago when I worked security at a foundry, and they were forging into sand. It was stuff for the train couplers. That's what they were making.
I don't like. How would they do that though?
I don't know. I don't know the process. I was just walking through, making sure no one was stealing shit.
I would say that is probably like mass produced with like a big like pneumatic hammer out of one chunk of cut steel.
No, they poured it into those forms. I saw that part because the shit was splashing.
And what were they making?
The train couplers.
Huh. Yeah, usually
like at Kutztown Foundry.
I don't know. Usually I would consider that to be cast.
Yeah, I would think that was cast iron, but
because you're casting it into
but it could be drop forged.
There's also cold forged.
Yeah, I don't know the difference.
Like a barrel, like they literally like one is heated up and then drawn out, and the other one is not heated up and drawn out.
I like how that handle feels.
Oh, it's beautiful, man. So yeah, now you got to be that guy that asked me a question that I don't know.
Oh, well, fuck you, because you always do it to me.
Where am I at here?
Yeah, doesn't it suck, dude?
yeah, you stumped me. But good. It's good to know. I wouldn't even think to ask that question.
Well, I'm just saying, when I was, they would dump the molten metal into like a sand cast,
right?
And then they would grind off the excess, and they were making train couplers.
Well, if you actually look at the pattern on this unfinished metal here, it does look like some kind of casting there.
Yeah.
So you might be right, but I always thought like the casting of metal. They also make MIM too, which they make a lot in gun parts, which it's like a pill, but instead of using a pill, they use metal, and they put it under super high pressure, and it makes that little like ejector level for your handgun or a trigger. And you can see it. It's like very grainy, but it's made just like a pill is. So,
I don't know, bro.
I do. So thankfully I'm with you. The pattern is thought to have originated from Biscayan in northern Spain, near France. French traders use this hand axe, a trade tool, in their dealings with Native Americans for fur and other commodities in the Hudson Bay area, St. Lawrence River, and other trade routes. So it says forged steel head made in the USA. So I would like some clarification on that. Is it cast then forged?
I don't know.
Well, I have to call them and find out. Or if any of you guys know, leave us a comment.
Yeah, John's been begging for comments.
Comment, please. You can see this fucker. You're looking at the damn thing.
Yeah, you can see it.
You hold this for a while. The hand sharpened taper bit for cutting and light splitting. ANSI standards call for the head to be of a hardness of a Rockwell 45 to 60, which I think is kind of it's a little bit soft, but it's ideal because you're running that.
Well, you want to be able to continuously sharpen it.
Right. You want to be able to sharpen. Now you can sharpen that with a file, which gets it razor sharp and it lasts for a long time. Now I'll give you a comparison. So say like S30V, which is your pretty common steels on some of your higher end knives, like a Gerber. What's the automatic one I just bought? Maybe some of your Spyderco knives, your Demco, your cold steel knives. They're going to be a 58 to 62, which is a little bit harder. So just to give you an idea, this is 45 to 60. Maybe a pocket knife, high-end pocket knife would be 58 to 62, which they can be hard to sharpen, but they're not impossible.
Okay, let me ask you a question because you know a lot more about this stuff than I do. So, do you want the higher hardness to keep the edge?
Yes.
Or do you want a hardness that makes it easier to sharpen?
A lot of guys you'll find want the latest, greatest high-end steel that is super hard that you don't ever really have to touch.
Is that just the penis measuring thing,
it's kind of like you want that fine line because if you go too hard, you're going to start chipping.
Right.
So like your AUS 3, your AUS 8, your AUS 10, that's probably like they still use that, which is a great steel. Your 410A, which is your buck knives, and again, it has to do with like your heat treatment afterwards. But your buck knives, which uses a 410A, which some people think is junk, or is it might be 410C. Maybe to fact check me on that. But their steel, the 410 series of steel, is considered to be junk by some people. But Buck Knives has had their like proprietary treatment on it, which is fucking fantastic. You see my Buck Knives,
right.
They sharpen easily, they stay sharp, and they are fucking hair popping sharp.
And we have done a video previously on your Buck.
Yes, the Buck 110.
Yeah.
Which is the 410 stainless, and a lot of your the hell is that? Anyways, a lot of your cold steel knives in the earlier years would use AUS 8. I think there was AUS 3. And that was considered a wonder. So I think as the technology gets older, it's like the craft gets more refined.
Refined?
Yeah, refined.
Okay.
It's a learning curve, but I'm always just take care of your shit. Don't abuse it.
Really?
What's that supposed to mean? Within its limits. Yeah. I'm not like I've seen it.
Hold on. Stop for a second, please.
Back that train up.
Give me one moment. Aren't you the same guy who admitted when we were doing one of these knife reviews that you used your knife to cut a lead split shot or a lead shot? Wait.
Yes.
Okay.
That was
Was that you taking care of the blade?
Shut up, Michael.
I'm just wondering.
All right. You totally got me there. But within reason, like I
know you are very meticulous about sharpening your knives.
I was drunk. It was like 4:00 in the morning. And I wanted to catch some crabs off the dock.
Okay. Nobody's judging you, brother.
That being said, all right, okay. So listen, I watched this video. I won't say the guy's name, but he took a old AK bayonet and he's got the sharpened edge and he's smashing it on rocks. Right? And it chipped. And he goes, this this knife's a piece of junk. And I'm like, what? Why would you smash? What would be the need to smash it on rocks? There's no like,
No.
and then they call it a piece of junk. Like if I broke my knife sawing through that chunk of lead, I'd be like, this knife's not a piece of junk. It's not meant to cut through a piece of fucking lead.
I'd be impressed.
I was totally impressed.
And then you sharpened your knife.
It cut right through it. We went fishing and it was fine. But yeah, so I don't know. It's a matter of preference. I've had all types of I've had shit Chinese knives, which you can get them razor sharp, but they last for about like one cut. But if you invest in something that is, like I think what did I say about that? $70, something like that. 80.
It was like 70 for the shorter handle, 80 for the longer handle.
And I intend on getting the longer ones. But I think this one's pretty versatile for like living in Pennsylvania, you'll say. Like if you want to baton some wood, you're not going to abuse your main, fixed blade knife that might be 4 inches long. And that's kind of what I'm like. I'd rather carry an axe than have the one knife that does it all. Like you don't go to a job and have one tool that does it all. You need specific tools for the specific job, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at with that.
And apparently they're red tools.
Apparently they're red tools now. They used to be yellow. So hand sharpened tapered bit for cutting and light splitting. I think I mentioned that already.
So what grind is on this?
That
I know
is,
you know your grinds.
Let me see that.
Those are just two angles.
That is not a oh my gosh.
Did I get another stumper?
No, I just can't remember the fucking name. It's not a convex. It's a oh my god, it's just like a 2-angle, like where they just came down on 2 angles.
See, now I was impressed when you came up with the grinds because I had no idea.
Yeah, I learned that a long time ago. But that I worked with a guy who makes knives, who's local here, and he taught me like, a lot of stuff. I think they just call that an axe grind.
Okay.
Remember, it's just 2 angles. And then you have your micro edge, which is once you bring those 2 angles together, you're at a different angle and you could see it if you look at it.
So there's actually 3 angles?
You have your 1, 2 here, and then you see how the very tip is a different angle.
Oh, this is 1, the black part. Is that
Yeah,
what you're saying?
yeah.
And then this is 2.
Yeah.
And then that end one is 3.
Yeah, this is called your micro edge.
I'm gonna take a picture of that so people can see it. Where did I put my phone? Go ahead, continue.
So the micro edge, and I think we covered this before, but fuck it, we'll do it again. So a Scandi grind, it will just be those 2 angles coming together, and it just stops there. That's your final edge. Very easy to sharpen because you can lay the blade down on that angle. You can see the angle and just work your edge till it's razor sharp. The axe grind, which I don't know if that's what it's called anymore. I'm just drawing a blank here, but we'll go with that.
You're just making up words.
It's your 2 angles, and then you're gonna work that final edge at a different angle, and I guess.
You said you hated that.
Post a picture of the.
Actually, it'll be here.
Okay, all right, it'll be there. But yeah, I don't know. And then say like a samurai sword is a convex grind, which just it's like got a belly, if you will, like that towards the end, instead of any like hard grind angles. It's just
Is that why a samurai sword stays sharp for so long?
well, that's why. That's the heat treatment and stuff. But that's why convex grinds cut very well, because if you think you have a wedge like this and you shove it into a piece of wood, it's going to get stuck. But if you have something more like this,
Right.
it's kind of like peel the whatever you're cutting through away easier.
That makes sense.
Yeah. The pole end, I think, which is I think that might be the back. So this one is flat for hammering, tent pegs. Maybe you have a wedge you want to hammer through a bigger piece of wood. Maybe you want to hit somebody in the fucking head with this thing. I don't know. You can cut somebody's fucking head off. I know that with this.
We don't
thing.
recommend that.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. It's kind of illegal in these parts. 24-inch, just like Mike's penis, curved American hickory handle.
Well, mine's super curved. It's
Um,
almost like a duck's penis.
easy eye section is dried to below 10% moisture,
Now,
which you said was good.
that's a good thing. Like I know from having a wood furnace, you get below 10% moisture, and
That's a seasoned piece of wood.
that's a seasoned piece of wood,
So-
and they're hard.
They're hard.
And in the furnace, it burns hot and long because there's no moisture in it.
So there's probably less swelling.
Less smoke, less swelling, less that's a baseball bat.
Yeah. And they tell you too, when you get your if you like want to replace this axe handle, obviously the grain is running up along. You don't want the grain running this way.
No,
because
it
it
would
would just
snap
snap
right
in
out.
half. And then they talk about like this eye right here, this wood. Maybe you see that darker part.
Mhm.
There's like some kind of ratio between that. Do you want you don't want this too far over that way?
no, because it'll split up the side. Then.
Yeah, I didn't understand it. I would leave that to somebody who understands wood more.
Well, I'll tell you.
Good. I would love to know. I didn't understand it.
See, I don't know if you could see this, but you have this grain here now. This is only on the surface. This doesn't go all the way through.
The dark part.
You could tell because it tapers down to here. If that dart came all the way down to here, if you hit something with this, it would split right along that grain.
Oh,
But because it's only on the surface, which means
it's kind of sandwiched in between.
Yes. So you might chip this piece off because it could happen if you're out in the woods doing your thing.
Right.
But you're not going to break your whole handle because of
So
this.
that little teardrop there
Right.
ran all the way to the edge
So
of the
if you turned it this way, now you could see, I don't know if you see this on camera, but the dark part is here. It's like an eye, but it stops right here. So it's only on that surface.
So you don't want that anywhere towards the edge.
You
of
don't want
your
that in the middle.
handle.
See, you don't see it on the other side,
Right.
but it's right there. So this is a perfect piece of wood for
Yeah. I didn't know that. I was like, dude, just grab a piece of wood, throw it in there.
yeah,
I tried to make a back scratcher at work, right? So I cut this piece of thin wood, and I was gonna heat it up in the steam kettle that I have.
I'm gonna take pictures of that while you're talking,
Yeah, sure.
just so they can see that.
And the carpenter stopped and he goes, "Yo," he's like, that's gonna break the moment you put any pressure on it. I'm like, well, why? He's like, because the grains are running basically they were running this way, like I told you. And I was like, oh, okay, that's why I'm not a carpenter.
There, I took a picture of 3 pictures of it. One shows that eye on the top. One shows how far the eye goes deep into the wood.
Right.
And then the other side, it shows you the lack of the eye.
Yeah, you can see the eye comes up into here too, right?
Yeah.
A little bit.
So as this goes up, lost my mic. As this goes up, it's going to get wider. But that's held within this part.
It's not going to split there.
Which is, you have the spike in here, which sandwiches it against those. So if it goes down too far here, it'll just make it easy to split. And if you buy a cheap axe handle at, let's just say True Value, you get a cheap axe handle, and I've done it, or wheelbarrow handles, you get that eye that goes through it, and it just splits right along there.
So going through, you mean from left to right?
Right, but when it splits, it'll split right up. If I have a wheelbarrow handle, if that eye is over into the center and comes down, when I'm lifting on it, it'll split right along that line. And every time you watch
I
wood
got
split,
you.
it'll split.
Okay.
So that's only on the surface of this. So you got a pretty decent clean piece of wood on that.
Okay. Well, that clears that up a lot. Damn, man.
I just know my wood, bro.
Hey, all right. Yeah, you got your standard stamping mark here. It's a what? It's a CT. I can't.
So that's the company
Here
name.
it is. Yeah, council tool. So
Yeah.
you hold it that way, you'll see a C and then the kind of the T the cross.
You know what the other side says? America.
USA.
America.
And I guess the 22.2 was that
I don't know.
2.2 pounds. Well, not that it really matters, but this handle is hydraulically inserted into the head, and then it has the pin here.
So we could tell it's hydraulically inserted because if you look on the butt,
Yeah, there's
down
tool
here,
marks there.
there's tool marks from it being pressed down. So, hey, like, I don't know much about blades like he does. I do know wood, obviously, but this feels good in my hand.
Yeah,
It's a little top heavy, but that's what you want if you're splitting stuff.
Yeah,
you want to be able to throw it back and push that weight forward. It's less effort on you on your shoulder.
Yeah, it's enough to like, okay, would I carry this in a survival bag or in my car? Yeah, because it's might be a little bit heavy, but the versatility of it is I'm not going to ruin my main blade, something I'm going to process a deer with or clean a fish with to process wood.
And you're not going to kill yourself splitting wood with it. Because like I had a little axe that I used when I was burning wood down here, and I would put so much effort in that. Something like that would have been perfect because I bring it back here, and when you get right here as you're pushing it forward, you feel no weight at all. And then the weight of the head is what's going down through the wood.
Yeah.
So you're only kind of forcing it down through the wood, and it's so much more balanced when you're like I've split plenty of wood in my day.
Hi, I'm Dawn Brody, a comedian with a history degree and the host of the podcast HILF. History I'd Like to Fuck. Each episode, I am joined by a new guest who has brought me a subject from history that they want to know more about. Then I hit the books, I dig deep in the annals, and stimulate. We've covered Frankenstein, Houdini, Joan of Arc, Pompeii, the Salem witch trials, right? Ugh. Join us and find out for yourself that history is a party and everybody's coming.
Now, what you guys got to know is that this is not a paid endorsement of this product. It's just something that John bought, and uses, and we're not getting nothing. It was bought out of our pocket, so this is legit, straight up opinion.
Yeah, this is something I would carry, and my buddy, who's a big hunter fisherman, he turned me on to these guys. Now, there's more expensive stuff out there. I'm sure there's better stuff out there, but this is like he said to me, if you want to get into axes and stuff, check this company out. They're kind of cheaper. They're made in the USA, which I love, and I'm totally happy with this, man.
This is the first time I've seen it, and the first time I held it, and I like it.
I would definitely get this a sheath for it, so you don't ruin the blade. You protect it. There's another. I want to get this stuff. It's called Obanoff's leather. Hold on, I took a picture of it. Obanoff's. Obanoff's leather oil. It's like $11, $12, $15 on Amazon. And I guess the fire service uses it for their boots. It's something like the top of the line stuff. Which I might eventually put on this buffalo leather sheath. And then, what I also did was I just took some light sandpaper, maybe some, I don't know, what's like 600 grit, something like that.
600,
800 grit. Not that light. And I sanded this, and I put boiled linseed oil on there.
Now this does come treated with boiled linseed oil.
It does, yes, which I forgot to mention. It stinks to high heaven. I would suggest doing it outside, or letting this thing sit and dry. But what I've been told is like you want to do this quite often. Put boiled linseed, like a light coat, rag, a couple drops of boiled linseed oil, and you want to hit the whole wooden handle up here on the top, let it soak in real nice, and just do that and
then buff it out.
I wouldn't even buff it. It doesn't even say to buff it out. It just says to put it on there.
Usually when you put the linseed, like my crew did a historic building, and before we painted it, they put boiled linseed oil on the entire building.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well then, what would you suggest buffing it out with? Like just a sandpaper?
No sandpaper. Just a rag. Just buff it out with a lint-free rag.
Okay.
And then it stays nice and smooth.
Yeah. So what the boiled linseed, or blow, as we call it in the industry.
Do we?
We do.
Really?
That's what all the survivalist guys call it. Blow.
Or is that what you call it?
No. Boiled linseed, BLO. Blow.
Okay.
It
Blow
really,
on, brother.
It really does protect the handle. It is super important.
Well, I know it does protect wood very good.
It prevents rot. It prevents moisture getting in there.
And you don't want that moisture. It comes at a 10%. You don't want it to go too much above that.
Yeah. So I think the newer your handle is, the more you want to put the blow on. And then I'll plug him. Wrangler Star. He had a thing where he's like, the old timers tell you to put this on once a day for like a month, and then once a week for the next 2 years, and then whatever. I don't know. There's probably some old school thing. So no, I'm not an expert in that area, but I would put it on quite often. So yeah, there you go. Let's show this beaut again. Pretty simple. This is the newer one. It doesn't have the older model. I think it goes out further that way and then drops down. But great starter axe. I would highly recommend it. Me and Michael cut up a bunch of sausage and cheese with it.
It cut very nice.
It made short work of that for sure. 2-pound Hudson Bay camp axe.
So we took on the Council Tool 2-pound Hudson Bay camp axe, 24-inch curve handle, sports utility finish. Now you go take on the world. Don't cut yourself doing it.
This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to DeluxeEditionNetwork.com. That's DeluxeEditionNetwork.com.
Hold on, stop.
Welcome back to the Shit Show 2.0.
Okay, Boomer.
Damn millennials. Wow.
Did not know that. Even flirters who are obviously mentally ill.
You want to be my wife? Oh, this is going to go downhill real quick. I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. Don't quote me on that.
And then you couldn't stop talking about it.
No, I could.
Let me see one of those so I can see how it fits in
Here you go.
my big old paw. Till next time.